Can we trust the Didache? Didache simply means teaching or instruction. The Didache is erroneously called the teaching or teachings of the 12 apostles, although the apostles never wrote it. The only manuscript we have of the Didache was discovered in 1873 in Constantinople, modern-day Turkey. The manuscript is signed Leon, Notary, and Sinner, and bears the date AD 1056. John S. Kloppenborg-Verbin comments on the Didache in his book Excavating by saying, "The Didache, an early 2nd century composition, marked divergences in style and content, as well as the presence of doubtless and obvious interpolations, make plain the fact that the Didache was not cut from whole cloth. The dominant view today is that the document was composed on the basis of several independent pre-redactional units which were assembled by either one or two redactors." Comparison of the two ways section with several other two ways documents suggests that Didache chapters 1 through 6 is itself the result of multi-stage editing. The document began with rather haphazard organization, but was reorganized in a source common to the Didache and the apostolic church order. Church historians such as Johannes Quassen wrote that the Didache was not written during the lifetime of the original apostles, and that the document was tampered with by later insertions. Johannes Quassen further wrote, "The document does not go back to the apostolic times. Furthermore, such a collection of ecclesiastical ordinances presupposes a period of stabilization of some duration. Scattered details indicate that the apostolic age is no longer contemporary, but has passed into history." In the early 4th century, Eusebius of Caesarea wrote that the so-called teachings of the apostles was spurious because it was not written by the apostles. There is so much controversy over the authenticity of the Didache that I had to spend an enormous amount of time researching the historical data to uncover the truth. After thorough research, I have concluded that the Didache contains the beliefs and practices of some early Christians during the early to mid-2nd century. It was known as a spurious document by the time of Eusebius because it was not recognized as being the actual teaching of the original 12 apostles. The Didache appears to be a collection of early to mid-2nd century Christian writings combined together by an unknown scribe sometime in the 2nd century. Unfortunately, scholars have identified so many later interpolations and additions to the Didache that we can no longer trust the veracity of its contents. Author Thomas Weiser wrote, "Thirdly, the writer's approval of baptism by pouring presents a problem with dating it in the 1st century. Church historian Charles Bigg pointed out that Didache 7 must have been written after AD 250. He argued that pouring water was generally unacceptable in baptism as late as Cyprian, 250 AD. Therefore, Didache 7 could be no earlier than the late 3rd century. But if you have neither, pour out water 3 times upon the head into the name of the Father and Son and Holy Spirit. But before the baptism, let the baptizer fast, and the baptized, and whoever else can. But you shall order the baptized to fast 1 or 2 days before." This I have a problem with. Not a single instance in the book of Acts defers baptism for days upon end or fasting before baptism. There's no scriptural precedent. All who believe the gospel were always baptized the same day they heard the gospel from human lips. So to command fasting for a day or two before baptism is certainly not biblical. Chapter 8, Fasting and Prayer, the Lord's Prayer, likely composed from genuine early Christian literature with some interpolations. But let not your fast be with the hypocrites, for they fast on the second and fifth day of the week. Rather fast on the fourth day and the preparation Friday. I seriously doubt that the first century church commanded fasting on the fourth and sixth day of the week. There is no scriptural precedent. Do not pray like the hypocrites, but rather as the Lord commanded in his gospel, like this. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Pray this 3 times each day. Perhaps the original author wrote, pray like this or pray similar to this 3 times each day. But Jesus said to pray after this manner. He never meant that we should be repeating ritualistic, vain repetitions in our prayers. Chapter 9, Now concerning the Eucharist, give thanks this way. Perhaps the original author wrote to pray like this or similar to this, or give thanks after this manner. But it is hard to believe that the earliest Christians were commanded to repeat prayers and thanksgiving by reading a ritualistic text. Jesus commanded us not to pray with vain repetitions like the heathen do. First, concerning the cup, we thank thee, our Father, for the holy vine of David, thy servant, which you made known to us through Jesus thy servant. To thee be the glory forever. No hint of any Trinitarian terminology here. And concerning the broken bread, we thank thee, our Father, for the life and knowledge which you made known to us through Jesus thy servant. Again, no hint of Trinitarian terminology. The man Christ Jesus, God who became a man. To thee be the glory forever, even as this broken bread was scattered over the hills, and was gathered together and became one. So let thy church be gathered together from the ends of the earth into thy kingdom. For thine is the glory and the power through Jesus Christ forever. But let no one eat or drink of your Eucharist unless they have been baptized into the name of the Lord Jesus. For concerning this also the Lord has said, give not that which is holy to the dogs. Notice that this text is diametrically opposed to chapter 7, where water is poured over the head 3 times, once in the title Father, once in the title Son, and once in the title Holy Spirit. Therefore, it is likely that this portion of chapter 9 was a part of the original early 2nd century teaching, but a small section of chapter 7 was likely interpolated later to support pouring water over the heads 3 times and invoking 3 titles, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, in false baptism.